Hello and welcome to SpaceEngine Exploration. So I'm gonna kind of rush this one slightly because I have a lot of stuff to do today, to be honest. But I still want to get this video out because, well, it's been a little, I think a day over a week, and yeah, I also have an animated video to work on because, spoiler alert, I kind of want to get a video out for the Eclipse tomorrow. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. The first suggestion we have here is from Angel Carrillo? I think that's how that's pronounced. And they asked, what did I mean by Milky Way and Andromeda knockoffs? In this game, galaxies reuse the textures from the Milky Way and Andromeda, wherever it might be. I can't really tell from here because everything just kind of focused in. But yeah. A lot of galaxies in the game reuse these textures and stuff, so that's what I mean by Andromeda and Milky Way knockoffs, if you're wondering about the title of the previous video. Anyways, let's go to the suggestion, and apparently it is the oldest star that we know about, and it's unfortunately not loading in the game. Give me just a moment. Well, I tried to load it. I've tried acronyms, I've looked it up on Wikipedia, I've looked up articles on it. I can't seem to get it to load, unfortunately. But what I'll try to do is go to HD 140283 and maybe this will load. Whoops, just had it. There we go. And this is a white subdwarf that competes with that star to be the oldest star we've potentially ever discovered. So, to be honest, I don't really understand how we would be able to tell the age. It is a white dwarf, so that makes sense, but possibly just by the type of light it illuminates, I guess. Like, would it be slightly dimmer if it was an older white dwarf? I don't really know. It's in the Milky Way because we've only really observed stars in the Milky Way, with some exceptions, such as like very bright supermassive stars in nearby galaxies, but that's about it. So it's obviously not the oldest star we've ever found. It's just the oldest star or like the oldest star ever, but it's like the oldest star that's we've found so far in the Milky Way galaxy. So yeah, that's the contender for the one that you suggested, but the one you suggested does not appear to be cataloged in the game as of yet, unfortunately. Would that be like a very recent discovery? No, I don't see any dates here when it was discovered. I'm looking at an article right now. And no, I can't really seem to find it. Oh wait, there it is. It was discovered in 2014. How long has this version of SpaceEngine been out? I think definitely this came out way after 2014. It just has not been updated in whatever catalog this game is using. So, that's unfortunate. But there you go, there's the secondary contender, I guess. So the next suggestion I have here is from planet Venus, and they want me to go to Kepler 413b. Let's go ahead and copy the suggestion and paste it in. Let's see, there it is. And here we go. It is a red dwarf. What is the description for it? Suggestion to look at. Note, I just looked up random exoplanets to find. I don't know what to expect, but I know it's a circumbinary or a circumbinary planet. Okay. Here is the planet over here. So if I'm correct, I think a circumbinary orbit is something like you would expect from, for example, a planet that orbits around two stars, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but let's go ahead and check the orbital map. Ah, yes, there it is. It is orbiting, I guess, the very center of these two stars instead of just orbiting one of these stars independently. So as those two stars rotate like that, this planet is kind of moving around like this. Which probably makes these stars wobble quite a bit since this is orbiting like this. It's probably having some effect on the very center of these two stars. That is pretty cool. I do have a simulation, a save in Universe Sandbox 2. I think it was AAV who kind of guided me through making this. I do have a simulation. I might make a video on that. It's kind of cool. I never published a video on it, I don't think. But it's Earth orbiting around two stars. So I might have to dig that up, and hopefully it still works in the latest version of the game. If so, that'll be a very cool video to make. So this next suggestion is from Terra Vizier Rex. I think I've tried to pronounce this name before. That is a really, really long name. But let's see, what's the description on this? It's in the Milky Way near Deneb, which is a star. I believe it's one of the brighter stars. And I guess that light from blue-white supergiant have caused the Milky Way to look blue. Not quite sure what you're referring to. And leave all matches, cigarettes, and flammables at home. Are you trying to say this, the atmosphere of this planet is, explosive? Like some kind of explosive gas? Oxygen and CO2. Well, I know oxygen is very reactive, but, not quite sure what you're referring to there. Oh, you mean the previous suggestion you made in the last video or something? I don't really know. You probably meant the previous video. Speaking of eclipses, there is a moon that is orbiting around this planet very quickly at the moment. That is eclipsing it occasionally. There it is right there. Looks like it's just a little dwarf moon. Now it's fairly round. In fact, it has a diameter of 145 kilometers, so it's a pretty big dwarf moon. And now we're in the shadow of the planet. There's a Carina Nebula. You can see a Wolf-Rayet star right there. That bright one right there. And let's go ahead and speed this up a little bit and just kind of watch as this eclipses. This totally locked planet as well. Well, that makes a pretty big shadow, and I just landed that right on the eye of the storm there. See if we can see this asteroid through the eye of the storm while it's eclipsing. Oh yeah, it's a very big asteroid. It's very visible in the sky. Oh no, wait, it looks like we have two. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and turn off the orbit map here, so we don't have these green lines in the sky. Yeah, that is a really cool view, and that over there is a gas giant. Very neat. You know, that kind of makes me wonder. The gas giants, when they're very close to the parent stars, which is very common for like red dwarfs and all that. In this game, it renders like a giant storm on the tidally locked side of, you know, terrestrial worlds, rocky planets and stuff. I wonder if that would be the case for a gas giant. Would it be extremely turbulent if like a gas giant was totally locked with a star? I wonder how that would look, like an artist's rendition of it or something like that. I think that would be very interesting to see. But let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion, which is from X42. And here we go. Okay, so we have like a kind of yellowish green world. I don't know, I'm looking at my TV, so I can't really tell you whether the colors are that great. It is a Terra with a very unusual color, and it does have life, marine and terrestrial. multicellular as well. And here is a volcano peeking out of the clouds. By the way, Arthur Ronaldo, I think BB, did leave me a comment saying that there is an update to SpaceEngine, like a little patch you can download to have an accurate representation of the solar eclipse. I did see that comment. It was in my spam filter because you put a link there. I went ahead and removed that from the spam filter. That one, yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking that out probably today. I'm not currently on that build right now. I made a separate install folder for the patch and all that, but I'm definitely going to be loading that up and checking that out because that is very cool. Okay, so it looks like we have a kind of grassy texture. The atmosphere is very yellow. As you go to the upper atmosphere there, or look up at the upper atmosphere, it turns to an orangish hue. Once you're above the cloud layer, it's like kind of a gold color. Very neat. Let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion, which is from GeoPlayer123. If I can get that copy pasted. Alright, it is a warm Terra with a strange cloud layer. As they describe it, and that is a very, very thick and strange cloud layer. What's even weirder is you can't really see the atmosphere. Like here's me toggling the atmosphere on and off, so it kind of has like a yellowish atmosphere like the previous planet we visited. But these crazy clouds, and there's also a lot of cyclones over here on the equator. This is really, really weird. The temperature is 78 degrees Celsius, so that could have something to play in it, but warmer planets don't usually do this, so this is definitely bizarre. Let's go ahead and touch down and see what it looks like from the surface. Oh, it's because it has multiple cloud layers, okay. I think it has 3. Oh yeah, it definitely has like 3 cloud layers. Interesting. Let's see this planet as it rotates. I'm going to go ahead and click on the planet here. Right click, and I want to rotate with object. So we could actually witness what this is like as it spins around. You can kind of see all the layers just interweaving as the planet rotates. Let me go ahead and turn up the ambient lighting just to make this a little bit less disorientating. That is very cool. Let's go ahead and slow back down time real quick. Very cool planet. Neat suggestion. And turn off the rotation lock if I can. Follow object. There we go. And let's move on to the next suggestion, which is from Squiffy Abyss 000. Let's go ahead and paste this in. And here we go, a temperate Terra with life. This galaxy is really lagging up my game. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's because it's like a galactic collision between like a irregular galaxy and a spiral galaxy, it looks like. Go ahead and zoom back out. Oh, that's why my game is lagging so bad in this galaxy. Okay. Okay, so we have blue terrain. I don't know if that's just the atmosphere or the terrain itself. Let's go ahead and touch down over here. No, the terrain itself is fairly blue. Let's go ahead and turn off the atmosphere. No, it's green, but even up close it has a very blue hue. Very neat, and that looks very cool when you that is weird looking. just because the way this galaxy is kind of shaped. And apparently the stars are weird. Illumination on this side, I don't know if that's from a moon or another star. Oh, that is definitely from a moon, and a very big moon. That is incredibly close to the planet as well. Interesting. The parent stars. Okay, so it looks like we have a white dwarf with an accretion disk, probably stealing mass from that star right there. Turn down the exposure a little bit and kind of see the accretion disk a little bit better. There we go. The accretion disks are always very neat looking on the white dwarfs because it looks like multiple layers as the textures kind of pass over. And even the white dwarf itself has multiple layers that you can kind of see. Turned down so much that we can't even see this other star that we're right next to. And that gives you an idea of how bright this white dwarf is. And there we go. There's the other star right there. This right here is just an orange dwarf, so it's just a white dwarf that's stealing mass from an orange dwarf that it's right next to. That's kind of unusual. Usually you'd see that next to like a orange giant or like a red giant or something. So that's kind of strange. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next edition. Also, thank you, Austin, for correcting that. I did mean, when I said like a liquid ocean or whatever on Titan, I meant like something that wasn't water. I just said water probably as like just a default thing to say whenever I see a liquid on a planet, I guess. But no, I was sure it was something like methane or nitrogen or something like that, not actually water on there. It's way too cold to have water, especially since the other moons nearby have water ice on them. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion, which is from Nathan Universe 18. Go ahead and copy this ID and paste it in. And get away from this very laggy but beautiful galaxy. So it is a hot ice giant near the Milky Way, it looks like. Oh, that is very cool looking. Small elliptical galaxies either near the Milky Way or Andromeda. What was that? The screen went black when I looked in that direction. Wonder why that is. So this is a very hot ice giant. That is so weird. Why is that happening? Just the star magnitude and just kind of thinking that might just be a rendering problem, too many stars or something on the screen. It was just the amount of stars kind of the game somehow making it go unstable. I have no clue. We have some kind of off-axis poles here. You can see the auroras are not quite centered with the planet. And we have these large, beautiful orange rings. And over here we have a red giant. You can see it's kind of distorted, not perfectly round shape. Because the star is probably going to explode in some fashion. Probably even a supernova, since it is around that kind of 10 masses of sun threshold that would make it go supernova, and probably even turn into a neutron star. So, pretty cool. And I do think that is Andromeda, because I do think that it's its other small elliptical galaxy right over there. Oh yeah, this is definitely Andromeda. Fly back over here. This is running a lot better now that I have the stars turned down. Go back to that orange planet over here. See if we can get a good angle here. See if we can get the bright orange rings in the frame. Let's default the magnitude. Let's go ahead and reduce the stars a little bit. Not too much though. And there we go. That's a really cool view. And the tidal emission effect here is pretty neat as well. You can see there's also a big storm on it. Which kind of brings me on the subject of Jupiter's storm. I was talking to somebody the other day about Jupiter's storm, and yeah, I guess it's not really that known of a fact that the storm is shrinking, and shrinking very, very rapidly. Like 1,000, probably like 1,500 kilometers per every 10 years, pretty much. It is shrinking drastically fast. In fact, that storm might even be gone within like the next 100 to 150 years, possibly in our lifetimes. I did put that on the Jupiter fact video, though. Did make. So yeah, it's just kind of a interesting fact. Anyways, let's move on to the next suggestion, which is from Oshi Jack. Let's get rid of that question mark there, and here we go. A temperate Terra with life. No description. In the Milky Way galaxy. Yes, we are. And we have this beautiful kind of teal and green Terra with probably bright blue water. Oh, it's kind of a greenish color. Cool looking nonetheless. Let's go ahead and slow down time a little bit. And it's kind of a beautiful Earth-like world. Let's see what the ESI is. 91%, so very similar to Earth. Just slightly different with the atmospheric compositions from what I see. And the temperature on it has an average surface temperature of 4 degrees Celsius, so it's a cooler planet. The atmospheric pressure is at 1.14 though, so what is that, 114% of that of Earth? As you can see here, this mountain does have a snow cap on it though, or volcano rather, but yeah, the smaller mountains don't seem to have that. Kind of wondering why that is, possibly due to the slightly higher surface pressure maybe? I wouldn't think an additional 14% though would stop snow from appearing on the mountains. Let's go see the northern pole of this planet. Wherever that is this snow? Kind of looks like sand. Yeah, that's sand. So this is just a big desert pretty much. Ah, there we go. There's the polar caps. So it does still have large polar caps on the planet. It just doesn't seem to have snow caps on the mountains. Interesting. In fact, the altitude cutoff is seemingly pretty strict before it actually starts putting snow on the hills. That's a really high altitude hill right there. Pretty odd for a planet of this temperature, but yeah, not too sure why that would be. Let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion, which is from Spud Tato. Also, that planet has beautiful auroras. So this one's a nebula. If you disable galaxies and have a look around, there's a ton of nebula around. Oh yeah, that's the thing with irregular galaxies like the one we're in. Yeah, you can see it right over there. There's tons and tons and tons of nebulas. Andromeda, I think on episode 14? That's just a number I'm spitballing. I think episode 14. It's just called like lots of nebulas or something, or nebulae or whatever. Yeah, he suggested an irregular galaxy with tons and tons. It kept crashing my game and making it go super unstable. But yeah, we could turn off the galaxy view, which by the way does reduce the distance of nebula draw. You mean like actually disable it, not default the magnitude or something like that? Yeah. Well, you can see them all here. There's tons around. They stay on like a two-dimensional plane though. They don't really go up into the higher altitude of the galaxy or like anywhere out here. It's just kind of a disk of nebulas that these galaxies generate. It's kind of I'm not gonna say it's a bug in the game, but it's kind of an oversight in the terrain or the galaxy generation. It's something I assume will eventually be worked out. And you're asking what happened to Beauty of SpaceEngine? No excuses really. I just haven't felt the need to do the series, I guess. I could sit there and record 4K 60 FPS videos, but I just haven't really. I feel like that series didn't really get much attention. It was a cool series, but yeah, that's an older one on my channel. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it never really got that much attention. I might make one of those videos, but not sure. Did lose all those things I saved, like all the stuff I saved for that series. So I don't really have all those beautiful planets that I had before. So I'd have to compile a list of like new ones to go visit for that series. But yeah, I always did want to make like an hour-long one. It's just like to make an hour-long one is like multiple hours of recording just random little things of SpaceEngine, and it's like I don't know if that only got like 300 views. I mean I don't really care much for views, but you know, I just feel like it's not really getting as much attention. I feel like I could be spending my time on like, you know, stuff that people will probably enjoy more. So that's mainly the reason why I haven't done that. Is because I want to spend my time doing things that, you know, people leave a lot of really good feedback on and people are more likely to watch and enjoy and all that. So it's mainly just that for the most part. Anyways, let's go ahead and copy this next suggestion from Z Gaming Cuber. That's a weird name. No offense to your name, of course, but Z Gaming Cuber, is that like a supposed to be like a Minecraft channel or something like that? Some pixelated game or something? So we got a hot Oceania here in the Milky Way galaxy. And it has some really nicely rendered out cyclones on it. But of course, since it's an Oceania, there's not really too much to explore on these planets. They are an Oceania and a Saturn-like gas giant, respectively. Oh, okay, so the second suggestion. Yeah, there's not really too much to see at the Oceania, so I think what I'm going to do is... It's a cool view because the moon's reflecting light on the clouds there. Is I'm going to go ahead and go to your second suggestion here, which is the gas giant. Which, by the way, for future reference, I do one suggestion per person now. Go ahead and paste this in. And here we go. Oh, okay, so it's in the same system. Oh, that's pretty cool looking. Yeah, it does look a lot like Saturn, but the rings are not quite spanned out, or they don't quite go inwards closer to the planet like Saturn. And it's got this yellowish hue to it, which I guess Saturn kinda does. It's a lot more pale though. Interesting, you can see some auroras on it, so it does have a strong magnetosphere, I assume. Got a Selena moon? No, it's an icy moon. It's a frozen ice world. Yeah, it's not technically classed as an asteroid, that is a planet. Or a moon, rather, but you know, a planetary moon. But you can see the hills on it are, like, they kind of deviate the round appearance of it a little bit. That is a pretty cool view of the ring shadow, though, from this moon here. We're just being on a big ball of ice looking down at this Saturn-like planet. Let's go over to Saturn and see if we can get like something comparable. Here we go. And there's Saturn with its ring shadows on the bottom of the planet right now. As you can see, and this is what I meant, the rings kind of span closer to the planet, and it's got like a beige hue to it, not really so much of a yellow one. This isn't quite a ice ball, but that is so cool looking. I've never actually gone to one of these asteroids that are in the rings and kind of looked at the sun from this angle. That is a very cool view. Let's slow it down a little bit so the particles aren't flying so fast. Oh, that is very cool. But like I said in previous videos, Saturn seems to have the best ring system in the game compared to the procedurally generated ones. Ones that are just textured for Saturn look absolutely beautiful. And look at that. That's so cool. Can we land kind of... Yeah, we can see the individual bands of the rings here. Where's that blue portion at? I think that is right over here. Here it is. Now we're in like that blue portion of the rings that you can't really see unless you get the sun kind of shining through it. Very cool. Anyways, let's move on to the next suggestion, which is from Deck Barreau. Let's get rid of that question mark. And here we go, a frozen ice world. And the game crashed. Alright, going back to that frozen ice world suggested by Deck Barreau. Oh, is it like a binary? I know it has a bunch of small icy moons. See the huge cracks in the ice here. Which is interesting to see. I assume these are based off of like ice worlds that are orbiting, like, let's say Jupiter, for example, having like these big cracks and deviations in the surface. I assume it's rendered off that concept, but those are mainly caused by the tidal effects of Jupiter and the gas giants they orbit around when it comes to those icy moons. So I wonder what would be the cause of these giant cracks in the ice for something that's just completely independent of like a parenting gas giant or something. In this case, I mean, we have these large other icy moons that could be doing that. Especially that one, since it's pretty close. I mean, we have our moon, which is way out further, like, on a scale would be like out to here, maybe. And that has enough to affect the tides of our ocean. So a moon, about the size of the moon, in comparison to that planet, might have enough tidal effects to sit there and break up this ice on the surface. Kind of like the tides do on our ocean. It makes like a bump in the ocean. It would do mostly the same to this, but this is solid, so it would crack. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess that might be what would cause cracks on a planet like this. But even on planets like this that are completely independent with no moons, they still render cracks, so I think that's also another oversight in the game. But I don't know. I assume that's probably just not factored in the whatever method this game uses to generate the terrain. I assume it just probably has a parameter to make all ice worlds have these cracks on them. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion from Danui Ball. And here we go. This is a warm Terra with a purple atmosphere orbiting close to a hot Oceania with tight rings. Oh, okay. This Terra might be a moon. Oh yeah, it's a moon. This Terra is a moon of an Oceania. It's not even technically a full planetary system. Well, that's interesting. Could you imagine if Earth was orbiting around a water world? That's just very odd. But a neat suggestion nonetheless. There's an active volcano right there. Beautiful. Very beautiful nighttime view. It's got kind of like this purple hue to the atmosphere. That's at least what I'm seeing. So it's more of a bluish, but there's a slight purple tint to it. You see the shadow of the rings, even on the backside right there. Weirdly enough. I guess caused by the reflection of that over there, the moon, I guess. That is very cool. Is that thermal emission shift? Why is that red tinted? Oh, because it is a hot Oceania. Oh, in fact, it's very hot. 459 degrees, but this is just a warm Terra sitting at 29 degrees, which is much hotter than our planet. Don't get me wrong, but not nearly as scorched as that planet over there, for example. Interesting. And there it is in the daytime sky. Let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion, which is from River for You. And it is a triple star system. The edge of a galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy, it appears. So we have this one planet over here. Very large planet, in fact. With a lot of little moons orbiting around it as well. You can kind of see them. And this one has a more Saturn-like color, I would say. But it has like two little bands of rings, it appears. Two moons that got caught in probably a very unfortunate orbit and in the Roche limit of the planet. So let's go over to the white star, which is a white main sequence star. Got a scorched desert over here. A small Jupiter-like planet. And a warm Selena. And over here we have two stars that I guess are making up for the mass of the berry center there by being two small red dwarfs. Oh wait, that's an orange dwarf. It's considerably brighter than that red dwarf if you're able to tell. Kind of see it here. Yeah, it's much brighter than that red dwarf. Very neat, and I don't think there's really much orbiting around these, but there is a circumbinary orbit here. And you can see the light from the other star right there. Yeah, that star there. Then you got your double sunset going on over here. Very cool. Anyways, let's move on to the next suggestion from Nathaniel Kavana. Let's go ahead and get rid of that question mark. And here we go. So this is a cool tempered Terra around a gas giant in a Trinary system in a galactic cluster. So we are in an elliptical type galaxy, followed by a lot of other elliptical type galaxies. way too fast. What's going on here? Why is this pink? Why is that pink when I zoom out? Is it because of whatever this is? A red dwarf. That red dwarf is really shifting the color of that white star there so much that it makes it like a pink color? I guess so. I don't think we have that. Okay, now we have the system selected. So is this the gas giant? And that's the cool Terra right there. Okay, so it's got two huge polar caps. Negative 19 degrees Celsius, and there's like the only continent that I see on it. You can see one of the elliptical galaxies. Actually, you can see a few over there in the background. Oh, and there's a bunch more. Yeah, that'd make for a very neat view. I don't think there's anything to land on this side currently, so I'm gonna have to... Oh, nope, there's something. Ah, there we go. Now we can see the gas giant in the sky. And there is a few of the stars. Looks like 2 of them. And you can see a planet or something right there. Oh no, that's a red dwarf. Oh, interesting. Very neat. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion, which is from Mr. Star Wars. And here we go, a temperate gas giant. Blue color with purple rings. So this is a gas giant with lovely thick purple rings and has a great view of this purple galaxy. It also has a Terra moon with its own magnetic field. Interesting. Which brings me back to the Jupiter video. Yeah, one of Jupiter's moons apparently has a magnetic field. I didn't even know that until I researched it, but that was an interesting fact to learn. Big collision, as always. Got some auroras here, which make the cluster we're in look really cool. Go ahead and find that Terra. There it is. Right over here. So it has its own magnetic field. Is there a way we could visualize a magnetic field in this game? I think that would be a really cool feature to be added to the game if we can't. You can see the auroras on it, which kind of says enough, but yeah, it'd be really cool if we could see the magnetospheres on planets. That's nebulas. I guess I could have toggled the galaxies right there. Oh well. Yeah, I don't see magnetospheres on this list, unfortunately. But I guess the auroras are telling enough. This planet has an ESI of 87%. And a very, very thick blue atmosphere. Oh, look at that. That is a really cool view. We got kind of like a, I guess, not eccentric, but a inclined view of the gas giant that we're orbiting around. That is very cool. Let's decrease our field of view. Just kind of back up a little bit. There we go. Very neat. That was a really nice view of that gas giant. Anyways, let's go ahead and go to the next suggestion, which I'm not seeing any more suggestions. Apart from people who suggested more than one, so I think that's the end of this video. I think we're going to end it with that gas giant right there. Anyways, if you liked the video, please subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.